Hi, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to your first time here. I'm May, and this is going to be my February wrap up. If you had seen my February TBR video, I had Valentine's Day candy pick out my reads for the month, and it was super fun, and I am so excited to get to reading those. If you haven't watched one of my wrap up videos before, how it works is that I film myself after reading each book, and then after the month is over, I give like an overall stats and overall ratings for each book. So it's a little bit different than how most people do it, but I think it works for me the best because I have a hard time remembering books in great detail as the month goes on. So filming after each book just seems to be the best way of rating and reviewing books for me. I did read a really short Valentine's Day novella to kick off the month, and I am really happy about it because it was actually the exact kind of book that I needed. I read Bleed for Cupid by Aiden Pierce, which this is a set of holiday horror novellas. I read the October one years ago, and then I finally remembered that they existed, so I put all of them on my TBR to read as the months progress. So this is my first one reading them in like 2-3 years maybe, and they are so fun. This is following a half angel, half secret identity thing that we don't know until the very end, so I'm not going to spoil it for you, who is a hybrid who runs a corporation called Cupid Inc., which sells love potions and sex toys and all that fun stuff. And he is kind of hated because he is crafting a formula that would be used on humans, and it essentially would make it to where humans would have to mate with supernatural beings and they wouldn't have any control over it. Kind of like a date rape drug almost. But you find out that he's actually not the one doing it. It's like a whole thing. It is a dark romance. Let me specify that. It is a dark romance. There is a mole who is giving information out about him, and they don't really understand each other. They're definitely not seeing who they really are as a person, and there's obviously smut. Most of this is just smut. But so, like, be cautious. I don't actually think I'd even recommend it to most of you that would be watching this video, but it's just really fun, and I gave it 4 stars because like it was really fun. I gave the first one 5 stars because it was just that great for a novella, but this one I actually kind of expected more smut because it was Valentine's Day, and I was like, oh my god, it's the month of love, they're gonna be banging, and it actually wasn't nearly as enough smut as I thought there was gonna be, so I kind of was almost a little disappointed. Like, it was only 100 pages, which I'm not surprised by. I just thought like more of those 100 pages would be smut than it was plot, and I do think the author tried to say that it wasn't very much plot, but I still think there was too much. I honestly think there was too much plot. There could have been more. It could have been more screwing. But it put me like, it's like the perfect mood for Valentine's Day. Who doesn't want to have dark romance to start the month off? I just meant like it was a good book. Like, oh, it was a good. I like the fact that I started the month off with a romance, which most of these are romances that I have coming forward this month. But it was the shortest one on my list. I kind of like the idea of starting with like the easiest book of the month. That way I'm slowly going into the month of reading and I'm not just like picking up like a 500-page book and like shell shocking myself. So reading a 100-page novella was quick. It was easy. I did it like in under 2 hours. And now I've done my reading for the day, and I've already read 1 book of the month, and it's only the first day of the month. So it just makes me feel really good about myself when I start the month with an easier book than like a 500-page book. So I think I will keep this idea up in March. There is a St. Patrick's Day one, but there's also an Easter one. I need to Google when Easter is to see if I'm reading them both in March or if I'm reading one in March, one in April. But there is, I think, an Easter one, a St. Patrick's Day one, a Christmas one. I think that's it. And the Halloween one, which I already read. But yes, this is the kickoff to my February wrap up, and I will be back when I finish the next book. So hi, it's dark. February has not been my month. Literally not been. I feel like the whole year hasn't been my month. I feel like the last 6 months hasn't been my month. My light that I used to film broke. It broke, and I can't fix it. I have to just buy a new one, and I only had this for like, what, 2-3 months? So, and to be honest, I hated it. I was not a fan of this light anyway, so I'm kind of glad on one hand that it broke because I wasn't really happy with like the one that I got and how it was working, because it was one of those ones that you put behind your computer like with a desk arm. And I found out because of the type of desk that I have, I can't actually use those because of the desk that I have. So I wanted to get a new one anyways. It's like, there's no point though. I have one that works. It no longer works. So that's just a sign that I can go buy one that goes on my computer. The one that can actually be used. That would be really, really good. So all clips are going to be kind of fucking horrific. Maybe for the next couple of days. It's actually like I withheld from filming because of the fact that I didn't have a light, but I've gotten to the point where I've read 4 books since the last time I talked to you guys, and I read books so quickly that if I don't talk about them as I'm reading them, I'm gonna start to forget things, and I already feel like it's too late. I feel like I've forgotten some of the details of the earlier books that I read. So you're gonna have to see some clips of me in the dark, and hopefully I'm able to fix it in the next couple of days, like after I check in with you guys. Like maybe I can order one off of Amazon once I get paid, but this is not ideal to say the least. I have read 4 books since I last spoke with you, and 2 of them were by the same author, and they were pretty short, and I really enjoyed both of them. I read Stirring Spurs, which was the newest book in a new series by M.A. Wardell, which is a cowboy romance, and then I read their other new book that came out for Valentine's Day called Peaches and Puck, which was a, like, sports romance, which was also really great. I ended up giving them both 4 stars. They were less than 250 pages long. I don't typically give novellas 5 stars unless they actually really, really, really wow me. So like 4 stars is just good. That means it's a really good novella. It just didn't like send it over the top for me. Also, they're not my favorite books by this author. I think I really enjoyed the Teacher series that they did, and I don't think anything's going to compare to the Teacher series, but I'm still very interested to see what they come out with in the future. So let me tell you what the book's about. So Stirring Spurs is a gay cowboy romance. It is following this cook at a ranch called Rainbow Ranch, which is essentially a ranch for gay people. Everyone is welcome, but the whole family that runs it are gay. All of them are gay. And Boone has a twin brother, Bo, and Boone is the cook, and Bo is like the rancher, and Bo hires someone new named Willie, who's going to be the new rancher, and Willie and Bo like are friends, and Willie tells Bo like, oh, this is a little short thing for me, I'm going to be in and out, like I just need to work for a couple of months and then I'll be out of your hair. It's a very like short term thing. And then Boone and Willie end up falling in love because how can they resist each other? And it's really wholesome. I've never read a cowboy romance so wholesome, to be honest, because typically when you read cowboy romances, they're dirty and dusty and freaky, all sorts of things. This was actually really wholesome, and part of the plot is that they have a horse that can't be like won't let anyone ride him, and Willie is there to try to train the horse to be rode, and because they show all their animals in like a very animal friendly type of like, what's the word? Competition. Like it's not hard on the animals. Like they do it differently than most ranches do. And that's like what the plot is about, is like Willie trying to make this horse to be rode, and like Boone is the one cooking all his food while he's there for the training, and like they're seeing each other so much of each other. And it's definitely like kind of like a grumpy sunshine, to be honest, but I do really enjoy it. And I think there's gonna be several in this series, and they're all gay, so I can't wait to read the other ones when they come out. And then the one that came out for Valentine's Day, Peaches and Puck. This is following Harry and Darius. Harry and Darius are both teachers, which is why this one almost reached my expectations of the teachers one, but not quite. Darius is a PE teacher who is also the coach of the hockey team, and Harry, I believe, is the English teacher for 5th grade. And Harry gets asked to chaperone the hockey game that weekend because the person who typically chaperones their dog or cat has a bunch of like the babies. They were pregnant and the babies came early or something like that. And Harry and Darius like hit it off and like shebang on that trip. And they come home and they're like, oh, this is so awkward. Like we should not have shebanged on the first time of really seeing each other. And Harry is really scared to give Darius a time of day after that because apparently Darius has been like bullying the hell out of Harry for like several years. But Darius is like, well, it's just me flirting with you. Like that was just my way of flirting with you. And Harry calls him out on that shit. Like, no, that was just fucking rude. Like, even if you did like me, that's not how you tell someone that you like them or how you convey with them that you like them. So I'm so glad that we get to see Harry be like, no, that's still fucked up. Like, even if that was your way of flirting, that is a fucked up way of flirting. And of course they make amends and they fall in love and be in love, and it was really cute. Peaches and Puck, I was kind of wondering where those names would come from. And Peaches is about ass. Like, Peaches, I thought, like, maybe the person was, like, a peach tree grower or, like, a peach tree farm. Or, like, he really liked Peaches. He just calls him Peach for no fucking reason, personally. And Puck is because of the hockey. So it's, like, hockey ass, essentially. In my head, that's what it means. But it is, like, an unexpected connection, on and off the ice. And it's just, like, it's like an unathletic person falling for an athletic person kind of story. It didn't blow me away, but it was really fun and it was short. I read one of the biggest disappointments of my entire life, and I am still mad. I finished this 5 days ago, and I am still mad. I finished the last book in the How Does It Feel series called Can You Take It? And if you don't know this, if you've listened to any of my videos, I am a big fan of the series. I've given most of them 5 stars. I've ranted, I've raved. This was the last book in it, and I gave it a 2-star. I am extremely disappointed, and I'm heartbroken, and I feel like betrayed by the author in a way that I will never forgive or forget. I seriously might never read anything by this author again because of how badly they just betrayed me with this series, the ending of the series. The reasons why it was disappointing was because we got a new point of view that wasn't the main character of all the other books. Like, all the other books were Cal and Mendix. And in this book, we get Eli. And who the fuck asked for Eli? Who asked for fucking Eli? And you get, like, 3 random chapters from Cal's point of view. And you, like, he talks to her, like, throughout the story. But, like, you only get 3 of her chapters. Like, I think it's Callie. I don't know why I'm calling her Cal, but, like, Callie, you only get, like, 3 of her chapters of the entire book. And so you get no, like, real conclusion to her story. This character that you've been with the entire time, you get no real conclusion to her story. My second gripe is Callie is pregnant in this book. The entire time that we have known Callie, she has not wanted children. Has been very vocal about the fact that she doesn't want children. In the fucking chapters that we have from Callie, she says, this is a parasite. I do not want this. As soon as it's born, I'm putting it into someone else's hands, and I'm not going to take care of it. It's not going to be me, mine, or anyone else's responsibilities in my family. Like, I might be having it, but it's not going to be like, I'm not going to be the loving, dotting mother. And you get told that the entire time. In the final chapter that we get from her, which is like 2 pages long, is 3 years later where she still has a child and is that loving, dotting mother. And I'm like, what? What? This isn't the same thing as, like, someone thinking they don't want children and then, like, ending up getting pregnant and then wanting the child. That's different than what's going on. Callie, even while pregnant, was like, I don't fucking want this thing at all. Like, I don't want it. I don't want to be a mother. I never saw myself being a mother. So, 1, it was already fucked up that she got written to have a whole mother storyline. I really hate when that happens to fantasy characters. I hate when these very big, powerful, badass fantasy characters get, like, their story ended with having a kid. I hate it. Why does everyone's fucking ending have to do with pregnancy? Like, why can't they just keep being a badass? And so that was my first gripe, with her being pregnant. Second gripe, she specifically says she's not going to be the dotting mother. And then for us to conclude her story with her being the dotting mother, it was so out of character that I was like, do you even know who you're writing about anymore? I was so pissed off. And don't even get me started on Eli. And you will be getting me started because I have so much to say. Eli is so fucking selfish. He's so full of himself. He thinks that his way is the only right way. So I can't tell you too much about this book because it is the 4th book in a series. But essentially, what you need to know is that there was a love triangle between Callie, Mendix, and Eli. And the love triangle ends because Eli dies. And Eli's book is following him in hell, essentially. And he's in hell to give Callie's sister a necklace that gives her back her power. I know that sounds like, what the fuck? But, like, it's because you haven't read the other books. But I'm just trying to tell you the bare minimum that you can understand why I'm pissed off. He has to go to the underworld to give Callie's sister this necklace to give her her powers back. And when he gets to the underworld, he refuses to give her the necklace because he's like, actually, I think you're evil. It does not fucking matter. It's not your necklace. It's not your power. Callie didn't say only give it to her if she's a good person. Callie said, take this necklace to my sister and give it to her. It was not his responsibility to insistently tell Kelly's sister that she could not have her magic. It was her magic, and he acted like he was this big, bad, beautiful hero, and he wasn't. He was just a fucking douchebag dick who thought he was entitled. He thought that he was entitled to carrying around that necklace and carrying around that power. And then not only that, the book ends with him being like, oh my God, you're so right. I'll give you the necklace because I'm in love with you. And the book ends. It's like, so what the fuck was this other 300 pages for? If we were going to end with him giving her the necklace, and like, you get like no conclusion to like any of the other characters. We meet so many characters in this book, like, and you're getting to know them, and then you get to know nothing about how their story ends. And that was so incredibly frustrating, because there was some characters that I was like actually really intrigued by, like Walter and who he's dating. And I was like, I want to know what's happening with them. And you don't get anything. Like the very last chapter is just her and Eli freaking it. So you get no real conclusion to the story. And it's the last book in the series, like confirmed to be the last book of the series. And I'm like, it's a fucking shame. A fucking shame. The whole other 3 books were perfection. I never had a problem with them. Yeah, some of them were better than the other ones, but still overall, they were really, really, really amazing. And for me to give this a 2-star, that means it was bad. One of my favorite series of all time, to get a 2-star from me, I'm hurt. I am so hurt. I'm never getting over this. I love these characters. Oh, then Eli. Fuck Eli. Had never been a fan of Eli. So reading a book from Eli's point of view, I was miserable. And just for everything else to happen on top of that. So I have decided that I'm actually going to pretend this book didn't get written. And I'm just going to think that the book 3 is the final book. Because technically the book 3 does end in a good way. You just find out that Eli dies. And I'm fine with that. Hell yeah! Eli's dead! I don't need to know anymore. I don't need to know that he finds love. I don't need to know anything about his underworld journey. To me, the ending of the book is Callie and Mendex are happily ever after, not with a child, not married. They're just happily ever after as 2 badass bitches going around killing bitches, and Eli is dead. That's all you need to know. That's the perfect ending. Perfect series ending ever. That's what happened to me, and that's what we're going to be saying from now on. Okay, sorry, now that I just went on a little bit of a hate rant, because I'm so hurt. I'm not even pissed. I'm just so unbelievably hurt. Okay, and then the last book that I read, which I think I actually finished yesterday, was Tender Cruelty by K.T. Robert. This is the most recent book in the Dark Olympus series, and not my favorite, but really good. I kind of really like the dynamic of Hera and Zeus hating each other, except for in the bedroom, and then it's like the best chemistry of their life. Like, that was really it was really fun to explore, and it was, like, hot and scandalous, but then there is, like, an actual plot line that's, like, building and tension and stuff, and the way the book ends is very, very, so, like, I am very excited to read the last book. The last book comes out, I think, in August. After all of these years reading this series, I'm gonna be finally able to finish it. I'm finally gonna be able to mark it done. Thank you. I've enjoyed it, but it's been going on for so long. 2022. So I started reading, 2021. So I started reading this in 2021. So after 5 years, this series finally gonna be finished, which it was 10 books. I can't say too much because it is not the 9th book in the series. Following Hera and Zeus and their marriage and what's going down in Olympus. There's a big fight that's gearing up to happen, and Hera and Zeus might not hate each other as much as they say that they do. They might secretly be in love with each other. And Hera is actually pregnant. Why is that the second fucking book that I read with pregnancy in it? Why does this happen to me? Anyways, she's pregnant, but Zeus doesn't know. And she's like, I'm only having this baby to get rid of his ass. And it's just like, it's very gossipy and drama-y, and I kind of love it. I'm giving it a 4.5. That's my review. I never even said it, but that's my review. And yeah, so that's the 4 books that I've read since we talked. I am reading the next one right now. I'm 100 pages in, I think, called Throne of Nightmares. And I might be back when I finish that, or I might be back when I fix my light. If I can't fix my light anytime soon, I'll just be filming halfway in the dark, because the lighting in here is not good. I also just realized my capybara is on the ground. Sorry, my capybara stuffed animal needed some horizontal time. You'll have to forgive him. Hi, you'll have to excuse my bad lighting. As I was saying in the previous clip, my main light broke, and I pulled out a lamp to make me look a little bit more visual, but there's going to be a little bit of a glare. I did order a new one, but it's going to be here in like 8 days. And obviously, we have a lot to talk about in the next 8 days, so you're gonna have to just deal with some bad lighting for a video. Because if I wait, then I'm gonna have it'll be everything will be delayed, and I can't handle anything being more delayed than what it already is. So I'm here to talk about Throne of Nightmares. I just finished it a couple of hours ago, and I love this. I think this might be my favorite book in the series. So this is a part of the Prince of Sin series, which is kind of a spin-off of the Kingdom of the Wicked series. It is about the princes of, like, hell, essentially, and they all have, like, a sin that they're, like, you know, the prince of. So, like, this one is about sloth, and there's been, I think, wrath, envy. Who was the third one? I'm checking. Oh, I'm dumb. This is the third one. So far we've gotten, so Wrath is Kingdom of the Wicked. The entire series is about him. And once she wrote those books, everyone was like, we literally need more. So she wrote the first one, which was called Throne of the Fallen, which is about envy. And then we got the second one 2 years ago, and it was following gluttony, which I also really enjoyed that one. And then this is the next one that we're finally getting, and it is about sloth. And I love this one. I ate it up. It was a little bit shorter than the other ones, and I was kind of worried about that, but I think it actually worked in its favor to be shorter than the other ones, because, like, it was so fast-paced. Like, it was hitting all the points, and I think if it would have been longer, it would have, like, slowed down the pacing in a bad way. So I think it actually worked in its favor to be a shorter book. These all have, like, their own individual plot that kind of has mentions of the other princes, of course, because they're brothers, but this has, like, its own individual plot. This is following the Prince of Sloth, who is trying to obtain the Book of Nightmares. And this is a book that is essentially the power behind the goddess of, like, nightmares, the goddess of night. And she has been banished to another universe as punishment, and this book can be used to bring her back, or it can be used to harness some of her power. And that's when we open the book, is with him going to the spot where the Book of Nightmares is supposed to be. And betrayal happens very quickly. I won't get too far into that, but essentially he then has to go on a whole expedition to get the Book of Nightmares and try to get back what was taken from him. And on his journey of doing all that, he runs into the main character, who is named Lore, who is a librarian. The names are a little cringy, but I kind of love them. And she gets asked if she wants to join a quest by a random woman selling items in a caravan. And she's like, do you want to go on a quest? And Laura's like, I guess. And Laura's, like, super into, like, fantasy stories. She's super into adventure stories. And she's read so many books. She's had so many fantasies. And when she goes on this quest, it's like her fantasies come to life with twist. So all these books that she's read, she's getting a nightmarish version of those books. And she is going to be in these trials, and I can't really say too much without giving spoilers, but it's a very interesting concept. And I read the author's note. This book was dedicated to the readers, and I could definitely tell because it had a lot of mentions of tropes. It had a lot of mentions of reading. Like, being a fan of reading was at the core of this book, and it was so interesting to read about someone who loved reading as much as I love reading. And I don't know if that makes any sense, but, like, the main character is a librarian, and the Prince of Sloth headquarters is a library. So it's like books and related to books is a huge part of this entire story. Like the setting, the plot, the emotions around it. And it is a little bit of, like, it's like a little bit of a slow burn. I don't think they do anything until, like, chapter 31 and there's only 41 chapters. So I will warn you, if you're wanting something a little bit more quick on the tension and the smut, this one is not for you. I think you have to read, like, almost 330 pages before you get to any smut, but I thought it was amazing. I'm giving it 5 stars. This is definitely my favorite book of the month so far. I kind of felt like the other books were just not, I was kind of dragging through them. This one awakened my reading spirit, and I was like, I didn't want to put it down. Like, I've actually itched to pick it up and finish it, and so it didn't take me nearly as long as I thought I was going to read it, and I'm giving it 5 stars. I'm very excited for the rest of the series. We still have 3 more princes. There's 7. So I think we should be getting 3 more books in the series, but there's not, like, an established timeline of when we'll get each one. They kind of just get announced randomly. But the covers are stunning. If you don't know, They are some of my favorite books that I own. I own the first two. The third one I haven't gotten the special edition of because it doesn't go on sale until March something, but I will show the first two. So the covers of these books are beautiful. This is the cover of the first one, and it has sprayed edges, and then underneath is gold foiling. Love. Love so bad, and it is a reversible cover. Love. Love so bad. Once again, I will be getting the third one. These are like some of my favorite books that I own. And then of course I have the second one, which is this really beautiful blue color. And this also has gold foiling in it. And I was just telling a friend, I was like, oh my god, the issue about getting these special editions. Oh, hold on. Didn't realize the picture of this one was all the way over. The issue about getting these special editions is you always risk, if you haven't read it before you bought the special edition, you kind of almost risk not liking it. But so far, I have loved all of them anyways. And luckily, I did read the third one before purchasing the special edition, and I gave it 5 stars. So it's definitely going to be joining my shelf back there. And yeah, that is my little update for today. Today is the 13th, Friday the 13th. And I think I still have 6 books to read. I'm feeling pretty good. I think I can get through them, but I'll check back in later. Hi everyone. It has been a few days because I actually did wait for my light to get fixed because I hated the lighting and all the other clips. I filmed a clip, like I filmed a YouTube video by itself, and I was like, that lighting is horrific. And I do have my new light. I'm still adjusting it and getting used to it, but this is better than what it was because at least you can see me and it's not like a weird glare of half my face. So just bear with me. At least it's better. It's better, and it's here and it works. That's the important thing, is it works. It's not dead. I'm gonna talk about the book that I read in the meantime, that while I was waiting for my light to get here. I read A Change of Pace by Kayla Gross. I hope it's not gross. Gross makes more sense. I thought that I had never read this author, and then as soon as I finished the book, I was like, this actually writing is very familiar to me. So then I went and looked. I've actually read 2 other books by this author and just like didn't realize that they were the same author. I read Trick Shot, which is a Christmas novella, and then I read Puck Shy, which is a Valentine's Day novella, and I really enjoyed both of them because it is such beautiful, sexy writing for plus size characters, and I always enjoyed them. And then I read this one because I was like, oh, I need some more plus size representation in my life, not realizing it was the same author. And of course, since it was the same author, it absolutely slayed. I will be giving it a 4.5. This is following Jessie, who was diagnosed with a rare disease. I think it's called Kawasaki disease. And if it goes untreated, it can lead to like complications with your heart and stuff. So she had to get an ICD implant. None of that makes sense to me, but I wasn't reading the book to understand disorders and stuff like that. But it is a really big part of the book, and it's a really big part of her identity. And I love that that representation exists for people that might have that disorder as well. And she is a plus size character, and I loved the writing. The only reason, and I mean only reason, that I'm not giving it a 5-star is because it has insta-lust in it, like slash insta-love. Like they meet and pretty much sleep the same night. And not to harp on anyone's stuff, that's just not for me. Personally, just not for me, not my cup of tea. So like that kind of made me a little icked out, but I wanted to read, and you know, that was very first chapter essentially. So I did give it, you know, some more time, and I did really fall in love with the story and then really fall in love with the characters. Back to the book. This is following someone who almost died due to their disorder, and after their near-death experience, they decided that they wanted to actually start living life, so they have created this bucket list, and one of the items on the bucket list is to have a one-night stand. A no-strings-attached one-night stand, and that ends up coming true, and she sleeps with someone who she thinks will only be a one-night stand, but then it turns out to not be a one-night stand because they actually aren't no strings attached as much as they thought they were gonna be, and they, you know, blah 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 happens. I don't want to give away too much, and they end up going on a road trip together. And you're probably wondering how the hell they went from a one night stand to a road trip. Read it to find out, is all I can say. And during this road trip, they're gonna cross some more stuff off of her bucket list, and as they're crossing things off the bucket list, they realize they're very much in love with each other, and they have a nice big happy ending. And there's a cat in the book who is super cute. So if you love cats, there's another reason to read the book. I loved it. It was so good. I will definitely be checking out the other books by this author now that they're back on my radar and I like remember who they are and such. But yeah, amazing plus size representation. I really enjoy how they write their plus size characters as just like their weight not being their personality, because sometimes I read books where it's like the weight of the character is very much the core of the story. Like, I'm so fat and no one's ever gonna love me. And then a guy comes in and loves her anyways. It's supposed to be like this big mind blowing thing. It shouldn't be mind blowing. Like, her weight should not be the point of the story. It's mentioned like a couple of times, and then obviously she's plus size on the cover, but it's not like the core of the story. Her actual life threatening disease is the core of the story, which is what I think it should be like. And she's wrote to be a badass. I loved it. And I do really enjoy how the love interest is supportive in the exact way that she needed. Not immediately. He did have some learning to do, but that is such a green flag that he was willing to learn for her, because I sometimes think that sometimes people don't know how to help people, and instead of taking the time to research, they kind of just like don't help people. Not like intentionally, but like subconsciously. And this guy took the extra step to like go out and like research her disorder and see what she might need and then provide it for her. And they did have several long conversations about like what she did want from him and how he could help her. And I thought that was so beautiful. Such a green flag relationship. And I highly recommend. It's not as smutty as their Valentine's Day and Christmas novella, but that might be a good thing. Because if you don't like smut, you might like this more. Because the Christmas and Valentine's Day novella is filthy. Absolutely filthy. This is really wholesome smut. Very wholesome. I think maybe like 3 chapters worth. I loved it. It was really good. That's the book that I read while waiting for my light to get fixed. Hi, it is February 19th, and I'm here to talk about the last book that I read, which was not last book as in the last book of the month, but the previous book. Talking is hard. The most recent book that I read since I last saw you guys, which was A Draught for a Dragon, which is the last book in the Side Crest Woe series. I don't really talk about this series very often because to me it's very middle of the road. I sometimes forget that it exists entirely. I actually didn't even realize the 3rd book came out until I was going through my TBR for the year, and I was like checking to see if any sequels came out, and then I saw this one and I was like, oh, there was a new book. Head scratch, my bad. So I was like, well, since I've already committed myself to the whole rest of the series, I'll just go ahead and finish it. They're super short, like 250 pages. So I was like, I might lose like an afternoon, but like nothing horrific. And I actually am so glad that I read it because it's my favorite of the series. It was so well done. Like the other ones I gave a 4 and then a 3.5. I'm giving this a 4.5. This was like a perfect mix of like the first 2, but then with other aspects that just put it over the top for me. There was a dragon that needed to be cared for, and the dragon is witty and sarcastic, and the dragon makes you super emotional because his family left him and he needs someone to help him, and the main characters come to help him. And it also has like all the best aspects of books in general, which is like found family, adventure, first love, second chance love, gay love, sapphic love, a wedding, humor, and magic, of course. Like all of that put together and then in a book. So well done. The other books, I think the writing kind of just was missing for me in a lot of places, and it was boring sometimes. Absolutely did not have the problem in this one at all. This one was funny. This one was quick. This one was entertaining. This one made me extremely connected to the characters. And I'm kind of sad that it's over. I'm saying all that and how much I love this book just to say something kind of a little wild. As much as I loved this one, I don't believe I'll read anything else by this author. I think I've kind of outgrown this author and their writing style. That's not a bad thing. There's no hate to this author. Not saying that you should never go read them again. You should go read these. I don't think these really fit into the books that I'm currently seeking out. And like I said, I forgot the series existed. Didn't even realize there was a new book, and I finished it, and I think that's a sign that since I didn't even realize there was a new book, that it's not just on my radar anymore. These books are just like, I've kind of progressed past them, and that's okay, because as readers, we are allowed to grow and find new interests. But it is an amazing series, and I would recommend it if you want like a quick little thing. I can't tell you too much about this book because it is the last book in a series, but the gist of the series is that there is a street of like magical shops, and they kind of have like a found family dynamic, and there is like essentially a quest in each one, like, you know, like a point of the book, and the people on the street band together to help solve the problem of the book. And you don't get chapter POVs from everyone, but they do have a lot of dialogue between each other, and there is several different types of gay relationships, which I think is really, really beautiful. And like I said, they're super short, they're super witty. And yeah, I think my favorite part is the found family. It's just done so well. They kind of, in each book, they kind of added someone new to their found family, and it's kind of like an ever-growing found family. And isn't that just so beautiful in life? We could always just use more people to have our back. So that's the gist of it. And I really think it's fun. I don't think it's special. I don't think it's never been done before. I think it's just a good book. So if you're in the hunt for a good, simple book, I recommend this. And that is my most recent read. I still have 4 books to read with less than 10 days left in the month. So I'm going to go get that started, and I'll be back as soon as I can to talk about some more books with y'all. Hi everyone, it is February 20th, and I'm here to talk about Tattletale by Kay Gove. This is the second book in the Paladin series, and I will be giving it 4 stars. I didn't like it as much as the first one. The first one is called Whistleblower, and I thought it was better in some aspects, but I thought some aspects of this were better than the first one, but like overall, it wasn't as good as the first one for me, so I'm giving it a lower rating than the first one. But they're just like simpler, like dark romance books. Paladin is this like secret society, not society. It's like the secret agency that gets hired to like take out bad people. So they're assassins essentially, but they kind of work with the government. Like they don't have like, they have actual rules and like protocols in place. So not just like going out and killing people, whoever they want, and it can't be like personal people. It have to like, they have to be told, hey, go kill this mafia person. Hey, go kill this insane person who's hurting a bunch of people. Like it has to be like a mission almost. So they're not like, you know, cold-blooded killers. They have a purpose behind them. So it's interesting. I can't really tell you a whole lot other than this is kind of like a friends to lovers. This is following Cricket and Lance. And Lance and Cricket have always kind of been into each other, but they're kind of finally ready to try things out. They've been like friends for like, I feel like 10 years. And they're finally ready to try something out. And then while they're trying to figure it all out, something bad happens that breaks one of their trusts. And then they're kind of back to where they were at from the beginning of like, will they, won't they? I will say this author drops foreshadowing like crazy, and I think it's a tactic to keep you reading, and I think it is a way to maybe cover up some bad writing. For example, this is in both the books. It's not really I mean, it is a spoiler, but like it's told like in the first book. We're told that a character's dying. Like in the first book, it just subtly goes, well, you didn't know, but that's the last time you're seeing that character. And you're just like, wait, what? You're like, what do you mean? What's happening to them? The second book, it's like, oh yeah, by the way, you didn't know it, but that's the last time, that is the last time you're ever gonna see them, and you're gonna wish that you did this. So you're essentially told that a character that you really like is dead in the future. And I think it's their way of keeping you reading so that you can see how they die. Because that is like one of the bigger aspects of why I'm still reading, because I'm like, what do you mean this character is dead in the future? Like, what do you mean 5 years from now this character is not around and this entire organization is different? And it's kind of like their way of assuring that you finish the series. It's kind of like telling you like, hey, you're going to want to know answers. And to get those answers, you have to read every single fucking book. So I think it's their kind of way of covering up some bad writing, because the writing truly isn't the best. It's truly not the best. It's fun, but this one was a little bit more wholesome than I was expecting for a dark romance. Like the smut was a little more wholesome than I was like originally thinking it was gonna be. Like they love each other and they're all over each other, and like they're almost like tender with each other, and I was like, okay, it is a dark romance, but okay. not used to soft romance and dark romance, but it worked for the most part. But yes, I will be giving this a 4-star. At the moment, I'm going to continue the series, but like if I read the next one and it still isn't giving anything other than that person's going to be dead in the future, I might not finish all the way. The only reason why I'm moving to the third one for the most reason is because the love interest is someone who I am very excited to see fall in love, but I feel like the plot points are almost easy to figure out. Like, I figured out something that was mentioned in chapter 1. I mean, you don't find out until the end of the book. I was like, that's so-and-so. That's so-and-so. I know that. That's easy. And I don't know if that's on purpose or if I'm just being really smart. Just so, like, I'm giving it 4 stars because it's fun. Not a masterpiece. I'm going to continue for now, but it's just fun. Hello, it is February 23rd, and I'm here to talk about Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross. I'm going to be giving this 5 stars. This is set in the same universe as Divine Rivals, which I also read and really loved. And I was a little nervous to get into this because I was like, I don't know how it's going to compare to Divine Rivals because I loved Divine Rivals so very much. This blew me away. I like this more than Divine Rivals, which I did not even know was possible. And this, I think, kind of serves like as a prequel in a way, like a very long ahead of time prequel about gods. And it was so good. It had me so emotional. It stands completely on its own outside of the Divine Rivals series. The characters are great. The romance is great. I like how the author writes romances that like expands through time, space, and obstacles. Like the romance is like really exceeding through time, space, and everything. Like nothing can stop this romance from happening, and I love that. It's also kind of like that in Divine Rivals, and I really love, I don't know if you'd call that like I don't know what you would call, it's not like a trope maybe, it's like maybe like as a romance plot point, but I eat it up every single time. I have no problem with it being repeated. It's such a good one. This is following Matilda, which is a great name. I love that name. But Matilda is special because she is a goddess born of 2 different lands. She doesn't know who her father technically is, but she was born of the Elder Realm and the Upper Realm. Her mom was of the Underrealm. Her dad was of the Upper Realm. So she has a lot of power that not even she knows the full scope of. She assumes that she's just the messenger to the gods. Like, she assumes that she just has messenger magic. She can, like, carry stories and carry messages to other gods, to other humans, to anyone, essentially. And that's all she's ever known. And her entire life, she's lived in the Underrealm. And one day, she meets, like, this guy named Vincent in his dreams. And they start to build this whole relationship in his dreams. And he's like, I really want to meet you one day. And it's like through letters she's meeting him, but like to him, it's dreams, which is really interesting. And there is like this whole underplot line of how there are these creatures that can kill gods. And if you kill these creatures and you get like, essentially like their spines can like kill anything. So they're essentially protected and banned, and someone is selling those on the black market, and it's like a huge thing. And then there's also like fate is tied into it, and she kind of has to go through a lot of obstacles of the Underrealm and the Upper Realm, and she finds out a whole lot about herself that she had no idea about. Like, no one knew this about her. Like, fate really had a way of weaving the story for her, and it's so beautiful. They find each other anywhere and everywhere. Like, Matilda and Vincent are the OP couple. Like, they truly are amazing. Like, they were in the dreams, and now they're trying to find each other in real life, and they have all these obstacles going against him, because he's a human. He's not a god, or a goddess, or like a whatever. He is a point-blank human. Like, nothing special about him at all. It's just so that his fate is intertwined with her fate, and they have to overcome so much. I loved it. I loved it so much. Like, it's better than Divine Rivals to me, because I think, like, the Divine Rivals was, like, a more humanistic war story, and this is more of a God war story, and I kind of am leaning more towards the God side of enjoyment. Like, I really enjoyed learning about all these gods and goddesses and their play into the affairs of humans, and then, like, obviously a god and a human falling in love, that's a much bigger deal than, like, two humans falling in love, like in Divine Rivals. And you don't really know how this connects to Divine Rivals until, like, very late in the book, but as soon as you realize how it connects to Divine Rivals, you're like, brain exploded. You're like, oh my god, the pieces are coming together, and it's done so subtly and so amazing. Because that was one thing I was worried about. I was worried that, like, it wouldn't stand on its own, because it's like, oh, if this is just a prequel to Divine Rivals, it's like, what's the point? No, this is like its own separate thing that just so happens to connect to Divine Rivals in, like, one or two ways near the end. So amazing. I would highly recommend it. It is a long book. I think it's almost like 600 pages. So it did take me like 4 days, I believe, to read, but I loved it. It was amazing. We'll definitely be checking out anything else this author writes. I don't know if they're planning on writing anything else in the Divine Rivals universe, or if they're going to move to something else, but I will be sad, nonetheless, when anything comes out by them. Hi, it is February 26th, and I just got done reading And Now Back to You by B.K. Borison. This is one of my highly anticipated releases of the year. It was on my 26th in 2026. I love everything this author does, so I already anticipated giving it 5 stars, and to no one's surprise, I gave it 5 stars. It is amazing. I'm not sure if I like it more than the first one or not. I'm still, like, kind of rummaging on that, kind of just sitting with my feelings on that a little bit more before I decide if it's better or not. But it's still absolutely amazing, still serving, still 5-star worthy. If you don't know, this is a series called Heartstrings, and this is kind of following, like, a radio station romances that are taking place within a radio station. The first one was, like, a guy named Aiden who was running a love podcast, essentially, and this one is following a weather reporter, which I did not know. I didn't know anything about this book going into it. I didn't know a single thing. This is following Jackson, who is the weather reporter for the radio station, and this is following Delilah, who's the weather reporter for the TV station, and they get paired together for a project where the radio station and the TV station are working together, and they're going to be doing things together. And what do you do when you put two weather people together? They're going to fall in love. They're gonna fall in love and make sunshine. And Jackson doesn't really believe in love, doesn't really believe in fate, and Delilah very much believes in love, very much believes in fate. And he has always been kind of a little snarky, sarcastic to her. Like, one of the things that he does, by the way, is that, like, they park next to each other, and if she has bad parking, he will put a post-it note on her car being like, park better. And she's extremely clumsy. She kind of always has a way of, like, ruining his vibe completely by accident. She's just so incredibly clumsy. There's so many times that, like, she ruins a shirt of his, or, like, she's broken his glasses. Like, he thinks that she's a fucking mess. With no better way of saying that, he thinks that she's a mess, and she thinks that he's just mean. And then when they go on this project together, they're starting to be, like, forced proximity. They're starting to realize who they truly are, and of course, you know, opposites attract. They're stuck in a snowstorm. It's very much when a Harry Met Sally inspired story, I think, just as, like, the first one was. And I love this one. This one, instead of having kids like the first one did, it's his twin sisters that he's taking care of. And I love the dynamic of him being an older brother. And it has, like, the banter, the humor. And I really relate to Delilah because I'm also a mess. And I always trip on myself. And I always spill things on myself. And it's like a workplace romance is how I would describe it. And it's really fun. Like I said, they go on a project to track a storm together. This huge winter storm. It's like a storm so huge they haven't seen a storm quite like it in, like, a decade. And they're gonna be assigned together to go report on it, and they get stuck in the area. And there's so many aspects of it that I think just really work and really, like, tie into the previous one. Like, Aiden, the main character from the first one, he is in this because Jackson is his best friend. So you still get you get aspects from the first one that you enjoyed and characters that you enjoyed, but without taking the spotlight. Like, Jackson and Delilah are the main characters, and you do spend so much of your time with them. You just get, like, little check-ins from Aiden. And I really love the radio station bit because, like, in between chapters, it will be, like, a script or, like, a transcript from, like, an episode that night of what they were talking about. And I think that's such a great way of adding, like, a media aspect to the book. I loved it. I'm giving it 5 stars, and I am very sad for whatever she writes next. I don't know, like, who the next one's supposed to be about, but I think that it's inspired by You Got Mail. I'm pretty sure, like, all of her books in this series are going to be inspired by, like, very, very popular romance movies. And I know that it's supposed to come out in 2027, so I have to wait a whole year. Ugh. But the good news is BK Borson does have another book coming out, and it is the second book to Good Spirits. It's called Grim Tidings. I'm pretty sure it's a Halloween book, so I think it's coming out in September. So even though I have to wait a year for the next one in this series, I only have to wait 6 months to get the next book by her. And I love everything that she does. I've never read anything by her that I didn't like. I think I've given everything by her like 4 stars and higher. One of my all-time favorite authors. So I would really recommend, if you want like a little fun contemporary romance that's set in wintertime, that has like the banter, the humor, the family dynamic. He's a great older brother. Like, he takes such good care of his sisters. And I think that's attractive. I think someone who can take good care of their family is attractive at the end of the day. So I really recommend 5 stars across the board for me. Hello, it is February 28th, and I just finished the last book of the month, A Rose of Blood and Binding by Clara Legrand. I actually don't know how to say their last name, even though they're one of my favorite authors of all time. I just literally never remember how to say their name. The G and the R always get swapped, like, in my head of pronunciations. But this is the last book in the Middlemist trilogy, and I was a very, 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 very nervous for this one, because the other books in the series have been just like 4 stars for me. And I think the first one was like a 3.75, which was heartbreaking because I love everything that Claire Legrand had done before this. And I was like, this series just really is not hitting for me until this one. This is a fucking 5 star. Don't know what she did differently. I don't know what she changed up. This one absolutely hit. I think it's because this one, she said, was kind of inspired by Bridgerton. And if you don't know anything about me, I love Bridgerton. I love Bridgerton-inspired books. I love Regency-inspired books. And she said she was kind of hoping to give that vibe of, like, Regency almost, which I definitely understand. But this is, like, a slow-born romantic fantasy. And, like, I don't know how to talk about this book because it is the last book in a series. And it's kind of a very confusing series. So each book is about a sister, and each sister gets a love story, and each sister has its own power. And the power of this sister is that she's super strong, she can run really far, and she can turn into a bird. But her powers are, like, not, like, some of her power is because she has a bond with someone called the Warden, and the Warden is the keeper of the roses, and the roses are the people that protect the Middle Mist. And the Middle Mist is this, like, magical barrier keeping all of these old world spirits and animals away from each other and away from the humans. So the roses are kind of tasked with protecting everyone in the world. And you don't sign up for the roses. You're kind of taken. Like, I think they come to your house in the middle of the night and they take one of your daughters. And it typically wasn't very often, but I think there's been, like, a rise of it the last couple of years in the book because of, like, the world's getting more and more dangerous. Things are happening. There is some evil beings popping into an existence. And so this is following Mara, who is the oldest sister and who is the Rose. And I think her story is so absolutely fascinating to me. I was worried. I thought this was going to be sapphic, and it's not. She's dating a man, and a little bit at first I was pissed off because I was like, I got the vibes that she was sapphic. She is. She does talk about having a female lover, but she doesn't end up with a female, which is fine. She ends up with a man. So I think she's bisexual. But it's kind of following her story of, like, working through her childhood trauma, working through the trauma that she has being a Rose, working through figuring out to love herself, to let herself be loved, while also fighting this huge fucking war with gods and old universe beings who are trying to get through and slaughter everyone and take over the fucking humans and make them go extinct. So it's like, not only is she, like, soul searching, she's also, like, world protecting at the same time. And I think out of all the 3 sisters, she is the most fascinating. Like, she has power from different beings. Like, she has the power from her mom, and then she has power that locks with her sisters, but then she also has powers from the Warden, and then she has her own power that you learn about throughout the book. And I just think she's so, so fascinating. And I wish the other books were as good as this one, because then I would have been happier with the series overall. Because overall, the series is just mid. Overall, it's mid. The first two books were they just were okay. This was phenomenal. Like, I wish that this series had the entire vibe of this book throughout the entire thing. I was emotional. I cried. I literally cried, which I was not expecting to do, because I went into this like, oh, I'm not going to love this, but at least the series is over. And it is. It is a completed series for me. But now I'm sad that it's over, because I was enjoying it so much. And I think I kind of loved the romance in this, because she's falling in love with a librarian who is very soft and tenderhearted, and she is very thorny, pun intended, because a rose. But she's very sheltered. She's very hard-shelled. She's very not mean, but a little bit more aggressive with her intent. And then she's falling in love with someone who is so soft, so kind-hearted, so opposite of herself. And I think it's very interesting to see how they come together. And I think it's interesting to see how much he shows up for her and shows her like, hey, even though you're killing people, I still love you. And I think that's so romantic in its own way. So this will be a 5-star from me. I have gotten 3 5-stars in a row. So finishing up the month with 3 5-stars in a row is insane work. Would not have predicted this, but I'm happy with it. So that is the final book of the month. So now I'm going to go over my stats. And I'm going to somehow pick a favorite book of the month, which will be harder than I anticipated. Now for the stats. Very, very quickly, I'll go over the number of books I read, the pages I read, average rating, then I'll go through a rating of every book that I read, and then I'll pick out a favorite book. I need time to think about that before I get to that part. So I read 12 books this month. I read 4,030 pages, and I gave an average of a 4.15 rating, which is lower for me, I feel like. I read a lot of romance this month because obviously it was Valentine's Day, but I'm happy with that. Like, I think for the most part, I really enjoyed the books that I read, surprisingly, because I think a lot of romances I tend to hate. So I think I was more pleasantly surprised by the number of romance books that I did enjoy. And then just running through the ratings and books that I read, I started the month off with Bleed for Cupid. I gave it a 4-star. I then read 2 books by M.A. Wardell, which I gave both 4 stars. It was Stirring Spurs and Peaches and Pucks. And then I read the biggest disappointment of my life, which was Can You Take It, which is the final book in the Infatuated Faye series, which I gave a 2-star. I'm still upset weeks later. Read Tender Cruelty by K.T. Robert, gave it a 4.5. Read Thorn on Nightmares by Carrie Mansicle, which I don't know how to say their name. I'm so sorry. I gave a 5. I read Change of Pace by Kayla Gross, which I gave a 4.5. A Draught for a Dragon, which I gave a 4.5. Tattletale by K. Cove, which I gave a 4. Not Rebecca Ross, sorry, that's the author. Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross, which I gave a 5. And I'm Back to You by B.K. Borson, that I gave a 5. And then as you were just listening, I read A Rose of Blood and Binding by Claire Legrand, or Legrand, I'll figure that out eventually, which I gave a 5. So overall, I mean, I think the 2-star is what sunk my rating. Truly. Because it was 4, 4, 4, 4, 4.5, 4.5, 4.5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, and then a 2. So I think the 2-star is what hurt my rating, or my rating would have been really high. I had a very enjoyable month. That book just doesn't exist to me anymore. We just won't think about it. It's painful. It's painful, and I don't want to think about it anymore, and we're going to move along. And that brings me to the final thing, which is where I have to pick a favorite book. I'm gonna go with what my gut says. Like really, it's like a 3. It's like a 3-way tie. Like, Throne of Nightmares, Wild Reverence, and Now Back to You really, really, really stood out for me for different reasons. Throne of Nightmares were so different from the other 2 books, and I loved the characters. I loved the romance. And then Wild Reverence, I obviously wasn't expecting to enjoy it as much as I did. And Now Back to You, I knew I was going to enjoy, and it was still so much fun. And it's like, so how do I pick a favorite book? Maybe I say that my favorites were those 3. And then if I have to pick one, I do the one that most surprised me to be a 5-star, which I think would be Throne of Nightmares. Because I did not give the other 2 books in the series 5 stars. I gave them like a 4.5, a 4. So to give this a 4 out of 5, I think that was the most surprising to me. But also I get to the exact same for Rose of Blood and Binding, but I'm not including the Rose of Blood and Binding because like on the scale of these, like that is the lowest of my favorites. So out of my top 3 favorites, I think the one that surprised me most was Throne of Nightmares, but this is so difficult because And Now Back to You! I knew I was gonna love And Back to You. But like, I love everything this author does, so is it really a surprise? It doesn't have to be a surprise. How am I gonna do this? Which one made me the most emotional reading it? I think Throne of Nightmares. I think it's Throne of Nightmares. It was surprising. I think I cried the hardest out of it. I think it was like the most amazing plot-wise and character-wise. I think it's Throne of Nightmares. This is a hard choice. Know that I love all of them, but I think for the purpose of my spreadsheet where I have to put it in the bracket, I think it's Throne of Nightmares. This is it. This is the month of February. A shorter month, so I was really content with only getting 12 books read. I had to struggle bus a little bit because like shorter month, which means shorter days of reading, shorter time to read the book, so I was a little worried that I wouldn't get through all 12, but I did it. I did it, and I'm proud of me. You can let me know in the comments if you read any of these, what ones you have on your TBR, what your favorite book of the month was. I am very excited to start March. I've had a lot of good picks ready for March. This is the February wrap-up. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you had a lovely month of February, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!